Hey everyone, my name is Maddie and I'm originally from the UK but have been living here in Auckland, New Zealand for just over 2 years now, so just bear with my slightly dodgy accent as we go through these videos. I had the privilege of doing the worship stream at Equippers College under the amazing teaching of Pastor Wayne and Libby, and since then I've been working real closely with them in worship and the media side of their desire to see worship grow around the world. So I'm just hoping that these videos will give you some real basic tips for the video side of things for your worship at home experience. Sound quality and the passionate worship that we give out is so important, but I also think visuals are really important for creating an atmosphere. Atmosphere is huge. We see it in church. We have lighting, we have motion graphics, we have a structured stage, just all to create an atmosphere for worship, to help people engage with what we are doing. And don't get me wrong, God shows up wherever and whatever things look like, but I think for us as people who are really visual, it really helps to create that comfortable worship experience. I am just gonna give you some real basic tips on lighting today. Feel free to pause the video, feel free to take notes, and we will get straight into it. Okay, cool. So I will show you my very basic lighting setup that I have at the moment. I have these very nice fairy lights that have always been here, hanging down the wall. They're mainly there just for the pretty factor. And then I have the house lights on, which are my lounge lights. And then in front of me, I have this almost weird kind of like dentist room looking light shining on my face, which is mainly giving me more coverage for my face because at the moment the natural lighting is coming in from this direction, so it would obviously create a lot of light on this side but more shadows on this side, so I just wanted that to give me a bit more overall coverage. If you are shooting in the daytime, I would suggest finding a room in your house that gets quite a lot of nice natural lighting, just so you don't have to worry so much about the makeshift lighting side of things. But I will say one thing to look out for is the light, is the sunlight streaming in and then all of a sudden perhaps clouds come over and cover that lighting, because then at some points in your video you'll get quite inconsistent lighting. It will go dark and then all of a sudden come back up to light and then go dark again. So that's just one thing to look out for. One thing to avoid is shooting in the direction of windows, so kind of like I am doing now. It doesn't look all that great around me unless you happen to have a super high quality broadcast camera lying around at home that can pick up all the details around you. The chances are you're going to be using something like an iPhone or a slightly better quality camera, which still won't be able to pick up a lot of light coverage outside. So you can see the deck, you can see this weird satellite, you can see the garden, but up here you can't really see the sky. It's super overexposed, super bright, and also all the coverage is kind of coming on the back of my head rather than the front of my face, which you want the focus to be you and the worship side of things. You don't want it to be distracting for the people watching, looking at what's in your garden, what's behind you. Okay, so what if your only time of day is to film at nighttime? I've heard quite a few people have said that this is really the only time that works for them because their kids are tucked up in bed, there won't be a distraction, or you might actually find you get more engagement at night from people. Not always a factor, but can be. So this is really a time where you can experiment with low light. It's a good time. You can play around with lamps, you can play around with fairy lights, candles, really create that kind of, like, as the Danes would say, hygge vibe, the cozy vibes. I'll show you my setup that I've got right here. Still got the fairy lights, I've still got the house lights kind of on, but I turned one level down. I've also added in a lamp behind me, and then I've lit the candles in the cute little houses that I have. I also still have the lamp, the creepy dentist lamp in front of me, which is giving most of the coverage on my face. And I'll show you what happens if I turn that off, because that will make a huge difference now at nighttime. So that light actually made such a big difference to what is going on in this frame at the moment. So you can see that all the light has kind of gone from my face. Everything behind me is still pretty well lit, but you really want to keep the engagement on you and the worship. This is all just atmospheric stuff. So if you can find a lamp at home that you can shine directly onto your face, then that will be amazing, and that will help you avoid that kind of yellow, dreary look that we've got going on right now. So I'm going to turn that light back on, and we're going to experiment with the house light and see what makes whether that makes a difference. So now all the main lights in this room are actually turned off, and it hasn't made too much of a difference. This lamp in front of me is an absolute find in this house. I didn't even know it was going to be so good. So if you can find something like this lying around, that will help you out massively. If you can't, if you for some reason don't have lamps lying around or a lot of candles and things that can help, it's worth actually looking in the supermarket for stronger light bulbs. Sometimes the wattage can be quite weak, so maybe that's even a thing when you go to on your next exciting supermarket trip out. The only time you can really get out, I guess now, is to have a look and see if you can find something stronger that will create more coverage in the room in general. With everything I've suggested, just play around with it. Different angles, different compositions, different lighting that you found around your house, even different rooms. The one thing I would say about different rooms though is to not compromise on sound quality. I think Pastor Wayne might have mentioned this in a previous video, but some rooms won't sound as nice because of echo, and yeah, it's just not worth compromising just for the pretty side of things. Take test shots, test videos of your setup, see what it looks like, share it with people, get advice. If you're doing this with somebody else, that's always helpful. Just remember though that I'm reiterating the point that lighting is not the most important thing in this all. It's about the worship, and it's about the heart that we're putting out there for people to engage and worship more. Lastly, why not even take it a step further? Encourage people in their homes to maybe create an atmosphere themselves. Maybe before you even start, just say, hey, why don't you turn down the lights in your room, put some fairy lights on, light some candles, anything that's going to help them have a more comfortable worship experience in their homes. I hope this was helpful to you. Chuck up any comments of things that were helpful, things that you may have tried already that could be helpful for other people, and yeah, maybe write down some comments, questions of things that you would like to find out more about in terms of video that I can maybe help you out with.